you ready to get your fix?
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this beautiful Monday, March 21st, 2022, and welcome to the show, whether that be on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, do me a favor, hit the like and the share as well. If you're on YouTube, hey, hit the subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Last Monday, obviously, started off the whole what the fuck is happening in the NFL. A lot of free agents finding new homes. New faces in new places is what last week was all about. And if you thought it was over, hang tight, because it definitely is not over, okay? More moves have officially been made, not only today, but throughout this whole weekend. Robert Woods is officially a Tennessee Titan. Yes, he had to be traded coming off an ACL tear last year when the Rams decided, oh, we're going to go get Odell Beckham Jr. from the Cleveland Browns. Robert Woods the day after, or the day of signing, tears his ACL, doesn't play the rest of the season. Rams go on to win the Super Bowl. He's got a ring. How you doing? Keep it moving. He ends up on the Tennessee Titans now after Julio Jones ended up getting released from the Tennessee Titans. So congratulations to him. Multiple more moves have been made. The Cincinnati Bengals are making splash moves. Obviously, an offensive line that was not the greatest last year is now looking to be pretty solid. So I'm pumped about that. I'm pumped to see what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to bring to that division. What kind of spunk do they got over there? They got the Cleveland Browns, who obviously just landed Deshaun Watson, which the quarterback carousel, that is almost over and done with. Only a couple more spots remain for potential starters to go to. Who knows where Baker Mayfield is going to end up? Jimmy G as well. So we'll dive into that. Otherwise, hey, today is mostly about the quarterbacks going to new places. We talked about Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland. They traded 3 first-round picks and multiple more. Okay, Baker Mayfield, now a free agent. Where does he end up? We'll dive into that just a little bit. But Russell Wilson, he's on his way to Denver. Already signed, already had his press conference. How you doing? Keep it moving. Carolina still needs a quarterback. Seattle needs a quarterback. Who else needs a quarterback? Well, we'll figure it out in the coming days. But today, we're talking mainly quarterbacks, okay? Mainly quarterbacks. And that is what we all have been waiting for, waiting to see what kind of happens. Is this team ready to rock and roll? Because we all know the quarterback is the only person that touches the ball literally every single fucking play. And have a good quarterback only means that your team has that better of a chance to making a playoff run, maybe a Super Bowl run. So, are you ready to get your fix? So obviously the Cincinnati Bengals had a great season last year, which one of the seasons that nobody would have expected that they would have had. Walked all the way into the playoffs, beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and then go to SoFi Stadium to take on the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 56. Now, obviously, they did not come away victorious. The Rams ended up winning that Super Bowl, which kind of led a lot of folks to believe, what is wrong with Cincinnati? Where can they get better at? Wasn't that hard to figure out. The offensive line was very, very atrocious. Okay, couldn't protect Joe Burrow, who got sacked 9 times against the Tennessee Titans in their divisional or AFC divisional playoff round. Probably, I think it was like the most in a playoff round in NFL history. It was tied for the most with like Tony Romo or something like that. So not good. The offensive line needed to be revamped. It needed to be better. And that's exactly what Cincinnati has done this entire off season. Landed multiple stars. And in fact, they just landed another big one. Offensive tackle La'el Collins, who is formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, went with his wife or with his girlfriend, whatever, and went to join Joe Burrow at his place with the other offensive linemen that have already signed there, and kind of sat down and talked about, hey, where does your future lie? You want to be a Bengal or not? After that meeting, shortly after actually, Monday, the Cincinnati Bengals are finalizing a deal, or already have finalized a deal, for offensive tackle La'el Collins, a 3-year, $30 million deal, which is more like a 2-year, $20 million year, which you can gain or get up to $22 million. The third year is just there to kind of like bump the salary back and keep the salary cap a little bit lower for the Bengals, who entered, I believe, free agency with about $40 million over the cap. We projected it at 59 over, but that was because we didn't know what the projected cap or what the cap was actually going to be set at, which was at $208 million. It was probably going to be a little bit higher. That wasn't the case, but they entered free agency with about $40 million. Offensive line was obviously one place that they needed to hit on. They got wide receivers, obviously T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. CJ Uzomah is not on the team. He's out of the building now, so they have to figure out a tight end. I'm sure they have already, or if we haven't talked about it. Joe Burrow is just fine. They still got their backfield pretty solid. Okay, Joe Mixon's back there. Their defense could use a little work. I think they're going to do most of their defensive work this offseason and sign some, maybe some smaller market veterans in free agency, like a 1 to 2 year type of deal. But they get an offensive tackle. They also today released Trey Waynes, quarterback Trey Waynes, who they signed just not too long ago to a 3-year, $42 million deal. He was hurt basically all of last season. And this is actually going to save the Cincinnati Bengals about $10.8 million on their cap. So they can go out and they can sign some big-name veterans, and one of them obviously being La'el Collins for that 3-year, $30 million, more like a 2-year, $20 million deal. But now, the Bengals offensive line, which was once garbage, okay, pretty shitty, if I will say so myself, is actually looking pretty fucking good. So the Cincinnati Bengals are the projected Bengals offensive line per at my sports update, or Ari Mirov on Twitter. He says the left tackle will most likely be Jonah Williams. The left guard will most likely be Jackson Carman. Don't know who that is. Probably go get a guy in the draft. Center, Ted Karras, or Karras, however you want to say. I don't know how to say his last name. So he's pretty good. Right guard, Alex Kappa, who is formerly a Buccaneer, who played with Tom fucking Brady. This guy right here, he is now a Cincinnati Bengal. And then right tackle, La'el Collins, obviously just getting signed today. And he says, now that's how you revamp an offensive line. Their offensive line looking pretty solid, miles better than what it was last season. So hopefully they have a better outcome this year, and hopefully maybe they get to another Super Bowl. Maybe they win the Super Bowl. That's a far-fetched idea because the AFC is now loaded, especially the AFC West. The Raiders land Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones. Who knows who else they're going to end up picking up? The Los Angeles Chargers, they end up getting Khalil fucking Mack. J.C. Jackson on their defensive side of things. They lock up Mike Williams for 4 or 5 years or whatever that deal was. I think it was 4 years, $60 million. They still got Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler in that backfield. The Chiefs, we know what the Chiefs are all about. They get safety Justin Reed, who was a former Texan last year, on a massive deal defensively after they decided, hey, we're going to part ways with Tyrann Mathieu, even though I guess that was going to be the case regardless of how the season ended. They still got Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Josh Gordon re-signed there a little bit earlier in this offseason. They also have McCole Hardman still there, Patrick fucking Mahomes, okay? I mean, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. We know what they're about. They put up points just like that. And then you got, the Denver Broncos, who landed Russell Wilson, who now pairs with a pretty young receiver core that is actually really, really solid. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, those guys are ready to rock and roll. So the AFC West is stacked. But so is the rest of the AFC. The Cleveland Browns end up landing Deshaun Watson on a blockbuster trade after once they were told, hey, they're actually out of the race. Deshaun's not going there. It's between the Falcons and the Saints. Those are his two preferred destinations, not the Cleveland Browns, not the Carolina Panthers, those two. And then literally like 24 hours later or something like that, maybe even less than that, the Cleveland Browns are trading for Deshaun Watson. Oh, damn, how did that fucking happen? All right, so cool. Who gives a shit? A lot of Cleveland Browns fans pissed, a lot of them excited. All I got to say, embrace it. That's all I got to say. Just embrace him being your quarterback. He's miles better than Baker Mayfield. I get that you drafted him, but you also traded, I guess you kind of traded away your pick where you would have originally probably took Deshaun Watson, but instead you traded away that pick. You got a later round pick. You took Baker Mayfield. So that's on you guys. It's just coming full circle. Embrace Deshaun Watson as a Cleveland Brown. Other teams as well in the AFC are getting pretty solid. Okay? The Buffalo Bills, they land linebacker, pass rusher, two-time Super Bowl champion, I believe, All-Pro Von Miller. They also get O.J. Howard, who was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer last year. So the Bills are making moves. The Patriots, sort of. They're trying to make some moves. But we all know what Bill Belichick has been in the past. He's been a genius, a football genius, a head coach genius, a GM genius. He knows how to build a team. He knows how to build a winning team, a winning culture. I mean, his motto is do your job. And if you do your job, you're going to stay a New England Patriot, and you guys are going to be fantastic. You're going to have great years ahead of you, especially when, you had Tom Brady for those 20 fucking years. But New England's trying to be in the mix of the AFC. Today they hosted running back Leonard Fournette, who actually, after, he's 27 years old. He's coming off the best all-around season of his career with 812 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, and he also had 69 catches for 454 yards in 2021, at his last season, obviously. So if the Patriots land Leonard Fournette, that's like one of the first times that I can actually say the Patriots actually got a fucking running back, like a good running back. I don't remember the last time the Patriots actually had a fucking stud running back. I just do not remember the time. I think it was way back when Tom Brady was like 3 or 4 years into his career or whatever, the New England Patriots, where they try to make a bunch of splash signings in free agency and whatnot. But I think this would be a good move. Land Leonard Fournette to build behind that rookie or second-year Mac Jones, the quarterback there for New England. Their defense is always going to be stellar because that's what Bill Belichick does. He's a defensive-minded head coach. He's a defensive guru. He knows how to build winning teams, winning cultures, like I mentioned earlier. So Leonard Fournette is on a visit, as well as Malcolm Butler, who, by the way, won them the goddamn Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks, where they probably should have ran the ball with beast mode back there. But they didn't. Okay, they decided to pass, and Malcolm Butler gave Brady, I believe, which would have been his 5th ring. I think it was his fifth or 6th ring. I think it was his 5th ring because I think Brady went on to win another one right after that, or 5th or 4th ring, one of the two. Okay, one of the 7, obviously. Okay, so Malcolm Butler is also on a visit with running back Leonard Fournette. But other than that, the New England Patriots have decided to re-sign, actually, offensive tackle Trent Brown. A lot of speculation around Trent Brown was that he was leaving the organization. He was going elsewhere. The Patriots found a way to get a deal done. Really not sure on the details as of right now, that being the year and how much it's worth. But Trent Brown, offensive tackle, is re-signing with the New England Patriots, who look to put up another battle against the Buffalo Bills, who are making moves. We just talked about Von Miller, obviously. O.J. Howard went there. So multiple moves have been made this offseason. The Patriots are trying to do so. They're trying to get in the mix of things. But I guess we'll wait to get to the quarterbacks till the end, because that is basically what the gist of today is. Thursday Night Football is obviously being moved to Amazon Prime. Prime Video is taking a hold of Thursday Night Football. Who knows if you have to get a subscription, because if you do, that would fucking suck, but I understand it because the NFL wants to make money and that's all they care about. So, it would make a little bit of sense that they would do so, and you'd have to create an account and have to do all this mumbo jumbo. So we'll figure out that when the time comes. But earlier in the offseason, you guys might have remembered me saying, hey, Thursday Night Football has found a color commentator. And they did. Kirk Herbstreit is their color commentator. Formerly of ESPN Game Days, College Game Day, what you guys probably all know him from. He will still be doing some of that as well, but he's going to be the main color commentator for Thursday Night Football, which means they need to find a play-by-play analysis or analyst. Took him some time. Really, a couple names are floating around who might end up with Thursday Night Football and with Kirk Herbstreit. Well, Al Michaels has agreed to be the play-by-play analyst for Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime or Prime Video. I'm pumped for it. He signed a 3-year deal. I haven't seen the number for it. I'm sure we'll get that number very shortly or whenever that pops up. So he partners with Kirk Herbstreit for 3 more years, and by the time his contract's up, folks, he'll be 80 years old. He looks fucking awesome. I mean, he hasn't aged a bit. I mean, he definitely has. Okay, I mean, we're all going to age. But, I mean, he looks fantastic, sounds fantastic. I mean, he is the voice of football. And once, which was obviously John Madden was the voice of football. And now I kind of think it is Al Michaels, because whenever you watch a football game and you hear his voice, you just know we're in for a good ride. Al Michaels, congratulations on signing a 3-year deal. Who knows how much money he's getting made? I'd assume it's a hefty amount. But he goes to Amazon Prime, in which I think he worked with Amazon previously before on some other excursion that he did. I can't remember what, if it was a sports league, if it was for like baseball, because he did baseball games way back in the day before he did football. But Al Michaels, Thursday Night Football play-by-play analyst, and he'll be pairing obviously with Kirk Herbstreit, who's the color commentator. You know, the play-by-play is like, all right, Mac Jones drops back to pass, and he's sacked. Okay. And then the color commentator is more like the guy, I really think this is a good play, because if you see here, he runs an out route. He runs straight up the field, then he goes out towards the sideline. I really like that, okay? He's said to be one of the best receivers in all of the NFL. Who knows if that's the case, but let me tell you, this guy has what it takes to be one of the best, if not the best. That's what the color commentator guy does. So, I mean, maybe in the future we'll try to get one of those jobs. I mean, I could do it. I mean, that would be fucking awesome. Okay, that would be legendary if I could do such a thing. Before we get to the quarterbacks, though, you all remember the Urban Meyer, the Urban Meyer little, thing that happened? The Urban Meyer experience in Jacksonville, where he went down there and he said, listen, I'm going to build a winning team. The culture here is going to be nothing but Super Bowls. We're going to build our own little mini city called Duval City. Okay? We're going to have hotels. We're going to have casinos. We're going to have sports performance facility. Jacksonville is going to be a place where veterans want to come, where good football players want to come to play. We're going to do this whole thing. We're going to have a winning season. We're going to draft really, really good players. And again, we're going to have a winning season. And then he decides to go to the chop house. He said, you know what? We just lost this ball game, but I'm going to go home. I'm going to see the grandbabies. I'm going to go spend some time with them. You guys fly home back in the plane. I'm not going to come with you, but I'm going to go do that. And then he goes to the chop house. And then once he went to the chop house, he went to the dance floor. And when he went to the dance floor, a lady got involved. And when the lady got involved, videos started surfacing of Urban Meyer's 2 fingers messing around with a little lady. Okay? And take in mind, she was a young lady. Very, very young lady. Take in mind, Urban Meyer's married, has a family, has kids, in charge of a football team, a professional football team. Still remains the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach for a couple more weeks until more and more starts coming out of him. Well, for one, kicking his kicker in the leg, Josh Lambo. After that little incident, Urban Meyer was finally fucking released. Finally released. I thought that whole ordeal was not going to work out. I was interested in to see how it would work out, if that was possible. It did not. Okay, because he went in there acting like a college football head coach. And I say that because he still thinks he's a college football head coach. When he got into the NFL, apparently reports are coming out now that, well, at my sports update on Twitter says this. Former hashtag Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer was unfamiliar with star players around the NFL, including Deebo Samuel, and most importantly, Aaron Donald. Quoted, this was quotes that he said, "Who's this 99 guy on the Rams?" Meyer asked during the season. Are you fucking kidding me? If you don't know who number 99 is on the Los Angeles Rams, you do not deserve a head coaching position in the NFL. Plain and simple. Do your fucking homework. Know who the star players are. Because eventually, you never know if you're going to meet up with that team and have to face them. Have to try to figure out a game plan to maybe stop him. It's fucking Aaron Donald. How don't you know? How don't you know that 99 of the Los Angeles Rams is Aaron fucking Donald? Should have been fired week fucking 1. If I would have heard that as a GM, as an owner, I would have been like, all right, this guy ain't it. And I probably would have asked him in the interview process, what do you think about the other teams in the league? The other star players? And if he would have said, who's the star players around the league? All right, nice meeting you. See you later. You're not my head coach. What the hell is this? Dude was not made for professional sports. Stay in high school. Stay in college. Okay? It's ridiculous. Like, apparently these two, Deebo Samuel and Aaron Donald, were not the only two stars that he was unfamiliar with. He had no clue who he had a game plan against. There's multiple like reports coming out or whatever saying that he would be like, oh, that guy's pretty good, isn't he? We should try to... And then about Aaron Donald, even asked, he said, where did he go to college? Michigan or something like that? No, dumbass. He went to Pitt. Okay, Pittsburgh. That's where he went to college. It's fucking Aaron Donald. You should know who he is. Okay? Going to be, if not already, the best defensive player in the National Football League in history. Jacksonville was doomed from the start. So doomed from the start. You're not in college no more. This is where grown-ass men play. And you're not a grown-ass man, even though your age might say so. Because if you're a grown-ass man in a professional football league, you would do your homework, you would know who the stars were, because like I said, you would have to eventually game plan for them. And if you don't know them, you don't deserve to be in the National Football League. Shad Khan, you fucked up, but I'm glad you decided to fire him and let him go, even though your gut was telling you don't. Your gut was telling you, hold on, just wait a little bit longer. While your players were screaming, hey, get this fucking loser out of the fucking building. We need somebody else in here. We need a grown-ass man. Urban's not that guy, and I'm glad he's not in the NFL anymore. He'll never get an opportunity ever again. In college football, I guarantee you he won't. In the National Football League, I guarantee you won't. He is now done and over with. And there's another report coming out. This is at my sports update. This is from DJ Chark, talking on the record about Meyer. You've got players in fear they're going to lose their jobs. You've got coaches who he belittled in front of us. And I can only imagine what he was doing behind closed doors. I'm surprised he lasted that long, to be honest with you. That is your star receiver who is now a Detroit Lion. And there's a reason he's a Detroit Lion. There's no way in hell he was going to go back to Jacksonville. A poorly run organization in which week 17 against the Indianapolis Colts, all their fans, or the majority of their fans, dressed up as clowns to, make fun of their general manager. I don't know how he got in the building, because that just blows my mind. How don't you know who Aaron Donald is? I think every football fan, or anybody who's even watched the game of football, you don't even have to watch the game of football. As soon as somebody says Aaron Donald, you know who Aaron Donald is. Plain and simple. I could go on the street right now and ask just a random person who's walking by, hey, do you know who Aaron Donald is? Oh yeah, he plays for the Rams, doesn't he? He's a stud, man. I guarantee you I'd get that response. And if I don't, well, then they're not that great. They don't watch football. But you got to know who your stars are, the superstars in the NFL are, because you're going to eventually have to game plan with them. I don't know how Urban got in the door, but what the fuck, Urban? Wow. What a tragedy over there. I mean, not really a tragedy, but geez Louise, that just blew my fucking mind. But, hey, a couple other things that blow my mind today. And that's that the quarterback carousel is just about over. The quarterback sweepstakes is just about over. Multiple teams have signed their quarterbacks. Denver got Russell Wilson. They filled their void. There's been a couple others as well. The Cleveland Browns fill their void, even because they weren't sold on Baker Mayfield. They decided to trade for Deshaun Watson. He's now their quarterback. The Houston Texans are still going to be rolling with Davis Mills. It doesn't look like they're going to go get another guy. So Atlanta was up next. What was Atlanta going to do? Are they going to stick with Matt Ryan? Or are they going to trade Matt Ryan and try to figure out some other situation? Well, today, as many of you guys have probably already heard, the Atlanta Falcons have traded Matt Ryan to the Indianapolis Colts. In return, they get a third-round draft pick in this year's draft. So congratulations to the Atlanta Falcons, who now are stuck with Josh Rosen and Felipe Franks as their quarterback. So, hey, hell of a fucking ride there, Atlanta. You guys are screwed. We're once in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Then he goes to Cleveland. Now you're out. What do we do? Oh, Matt Ryan is owed $7.5 million today by 3 o'clock. We're not going to pay that. Let's send him to the Colts. The Colts have to pay that $7.5 million. But now also Atlanta, they take on a $40.5 million dead cap, which means $40.5 million is still on their books. Okay, still counted against their cap space, and this is the most in NFL history by at least $7 million. So, Atlanta, you screwed up big time. Okay, the Colts still have to do some, they still have to pay some checks to Matt Ryan, but the Colts get a decent quarterback, I think, a veteran quarterback who's been in the league for many, many years. He's been to a Super Bowl. They lost it to Brady when they were up 28-3. Brady comes back, my guy, wins it, okay? But Matt Ryan has been there, done that, a game manager. He knows how to sling the rock. Now you just got to think, who is the Indianapolis Colts going to pick up next? Is it Julio Jones? Bring him back to pair with Matt Ryan, because they had that tenure in Atlanta where they threw a lot of touchdowns. Indy will now owe Matt Ryan in 2022. They'll owe him $7.5 million roster bonus, which is obviously what they have to pay today, or what they had to pay today. And they will also have to pay him a $16.25 or $16.25 million salary this season. Next season, they'll also pay him a $7.5 million roster bonus, as well as $20.5 million for his salary. So the Colts land a quarterback. They were once with Phillip Rivers a couple years ago. He retires. They have to trade for Carson Wentz. He comes in the building. Not the greatest look, okay? Loses in week 17. Their chances of going to the playoffs are dead. All right, so then they trade him to Washington. Then they trade now for Matt Ryan. Their quarterback sweepstakes continues, carousel continues, as they've had a different quarterback since Andrew Luck. I think they went Andrew Luck, Scott Tolzien, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, and then Carson Wentz, and now Matt Ryan. These are year after year of different quarterbacks. Hopefully they fucking figure it out. He signs a 2-year deal, I believe is what it was said to be. But I think this is good news for Colts, for the Colts organization, for the Colts fan base. because this is at Adam Schefter on Twitter. He says, since the start of the 2016 season, Matt Ryan leads the NFL in passing yards with 26,978. And he's fifth in touchdown passes with 165. And so they're getting a solid quarterback there in Indianapolis. I think they'll do good things with Matt Ryan. Now they just got to get him a weapon. I'm hoping that's Julio Jones, because I think that chemistry in football is a big thing. Okay, if you don't have chemistry, it's going to be very, very tough to win ball games. You can win ball games, but chemistry is what I think builds your organization in order to, or it gives you the chance to make a playoff run, to make a Super Bowl run, and do all that. So good on the Colts for getting Matt Ryan. That is exciting news. They got Jonathan Taylor in that backfield, Michael Pittman Jr. So over there, their defense is, they got a good defense. Okay, we'll just put it like that. But now that the Colts have landed one, the Atlanta Falcons, they don't have a quarterback. They have Josh Rosen and Felipe Franks. Felipe Franks, number 15, tall-ass dude, okay? He played a little bit. Not the greatest thing in the world, but it is what it is. Josh Rosen, we've seen what he is capable of, okay? Arizona Cardinal, didn't work out. Then he shipped out of town. I think he ends up with the some other random team. And then he runs and he goes over here, okay, to Atlanta. So, good luck. Good luck, Atlanta. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. Another quarterback now off the books. The New Orleans Saints, since after hearing of the Matt Ryan trade and after hearing about the Deshaun Watson trade, they said, well, fuck. Let's bring back Jameis Winston. The New Orleans Saints are re-signing Jameis Winston to a 2-year, $28 million deal with $21 million guaranteed. I like this move. I thought right from the get-go this is what they should do anyways, because, they started 5-3 with him. He got LASIK. Who knows what he's actually going to look like, right? He had that 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He goes to the Saints, sits under Drew Brees for a year or two, and then he gets to take over the team, take over the reins. And then he went 5-3, tears his ACL or whatever the case was, and now he's right back with the Saints where I believe he should be, because I think that's a good organization to be for him. They obviously have Michael Thomas still there, Alvin Kamara, who knows what other wide receivers they decide to bring in. Defensively, they got it all figured out. I think Marcus Williams ended up leaving, but Cam Jordan's still there, and multiple others as well. So the Saints are looking good. They're out of the quarterback sweepstakes now as they land Jameis Winston. And you know how I said the Atlanta Falcons are stuck with Josh Rosen and Felipe Franks? They're not stuck with him. Okay, those aren't the only two quarterbacks on their depth chart, as the Atlanta Falcons, after hearing that the Indianapolis Colts traded for Matt Ryan, instantly went to Marcus Mariota's door and said, "You want to be our quarterback?" Marcus Mariota is an Atlanta Falcon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a 2-year deal. I haven't heard much on the contract of what it is, like how much money it is and whatnot, but Marcus Mariota gets a starting job. So who does that leave? Who does that leave in the NFL to find a quarterback? Who needs a quarterback right now? Well, Seattle Seahawks wouldn't be bad. They need a quarterback, even though they got Drew Lock, and Pete Carroll came out saying, we love Drew Lock since the draft. Since he was in the draft. We love Drew Lock. That's our guy. All right, quit blowing smoke up everybody's ear. You can roll with Drew Lock if you want, but Teddy Two Gloves, he beat him out. And Teddy Two Gloves is now a backup in Miami behind Tua. This guy. Seattle needs a quarterback. Carolina needs a quarterback. Those are the last two that really need a quarterback, that need massive upgrades, or not massive upgrades. Carolina needs a massive upgrade at quarterback. Seattle, they need an upgrade, not a massive one. So there's 2 teams left. Jimmy G still on the trading block, but he had shoulder surgery not too long ago. That's why the Colts didn't want to go at him. He was definitely a candidate for the Colts, But they thought, hey, we don't want to bring the quarterback who just got done with surgery, might miss a couple weeks in OTAs and in training camp and stuff, and doesn't really know the playbook all that well. It'll be tough for doing that, so let's go get Matt Ryan, who we can just bring in here, get ready right away, or get ready to rock and roll right away. So Jimmy G, he's still a 49er, but he might get traded. Still a real possibility. Baker Mayfield. I don't think he gets a job. I do not think Baker Mayfield gets a job in the NFL this year. I really don't. If he does, it's probably a backup role to maybe a quarterback who is a little bit better than him, but not way better than him. He could end up in Houston, which, rest in peace, because that would stink. He could go to Seattle, take over or battle for the starting job over Drew Lock, even though I think Baker's a little bit better than Drew Lock. Or he'd go to Carolina, where he'd start and ready to rock and roll. I just don't know if that's the best fit. Baker Mayfield, time's ticking, dude. I think Jimmy Garoppolo will get a job before Baker Mayfield in the National Football League. I think he will. But I've also heard reports that Baker might end up a 49er as well. But I don't believe that one bit, because I think they drafted Trey Lance for a reason. He's seen the field a couple times last season. I think they're ready to rock and roll with Trey Lance and move forward in that direction with Trey Lance. And that's why Jimmy G is on the trade block. They want to get rid of Jimmy G to bring in candidates or bring in more assets to their team to make them better and give them a better chance at making the playoffs and so forth. So the quarterback carousel isn't quite done as we speak. There's a couple teams that definitely need upgrades. I just don't believe Baker Mayfield is going to get a starting job in the NFL. He might at some point, but it's tough to say. I mean, there's a lot of candidates still up for grabs at the quarterback position. I think there was a little list of right here. So at Tom Pelissero, he said, with Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota off the board, remaining free agent quarterbacks include Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Geno Smith, Blaine Gabbert, Trevor Siemian, Mike Glennon, Nick Mullen, Sean Mannion, Josh Dobbs, AJ McCarron, Josh Rosen, Nathan Peterman, and obviously Baker Mayfield. I wouldn't take too many of those guys over Baker Mayfield, but Cam Newton, he's not the greatest thing in the world. Okay, I think Baker's better than Cam Newton. Andy Dalton, I think he's better than Baker Mayfield. But I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I think he would give I think he'd give a better chance. I think just with his veteran leadership, what he's been able to do, where Baker's kind of been, the maturity level's not all there really. I mean, he called out the medical staff. He got a little bit better on it, and then all of a sudden now he released that whole statement, even though the Cleveland Browns didn't get rid of or didn't trade for Deshaun Watson at that point. So Baker kind of got himself removed from the Cleveland Browns. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, we've seen what he's been able to do. I mean, Fitzmagic, really? I mean, come on. We know what that's about. So obviously there's still many, many more moves that is going to be made around the NFL. New faces in new places. That's what this time is all about until the NFL draft, which I believe is like April 20th or something like that. So more moves will be made in the coming weeks and months. I cannot wait for that to happen. I cannot wait for the NFL season to start up again, because it's gonna be straight fireworks, baby. But anyways, that is all I have for you guys today on the show. Thank you so much for joining me, whether that be on Facebook or YouTube. If you're on Facebook, hit the like, hit the share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. It would be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy this nice ass weather. I mean, it hits 70 degrees here where I'm from in Minnesota, so I'm pumped about it. Go enjoy that nice weather. Stay safe out there, and you just got your fix with a Wicks. Deuces, folks. Jesus. Throwing shit around here.